Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's April 9th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And you can see on looking at the daily chart here, crazy day. We had a huge sell-off back down to this trend line, and we found the bottom there, and this thing just rocketed back up, and we closed almost on its high, and we closed higher today. I think at one time we might have made a slightly higher high than this 2 bars prior. 52.72.50, 52.74 and a quarter. So yeah, we did make a higher high. So this thing, I mean, raise your hand if you really thought this thing was going to sell off that many days in a row. It never does it. And you know, as strong as that sell off was, it rallied out of there just as strong, went higher and closed higher. They're not going to let this market sell off. I don't see it. I don't see any way that this administration is going to allow it to sell off before the election. I find that almost impossible to believe. So expect this thing to keep rallying. Maybe it doesn't keep making new highs, but I don't think we're going to see any sell off. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can get surprised here at some point. But as far as I can see, this thing's going higher in the near term. So we could see some sideways stuff here for a bit to consolidate. I mean, we've had a really big rally here. So we could see some sideways stuff to consolidate maybe, but I just can't see them letting it sell off. But, you know, we'll follow the price action, and if it takes us lower, we'll go lower. If it takes us higher, we'll go higher. That's the key. So following the price action, but you just never know. But anyway, let's flip over to the intraday chart, the 2,000 tick chart. Take a look at that and go through the trades. Okay, here's a look at our crazy intraday chart. You can see we had this big, huge sell-off where the bottom just fell out. And it finds, notice we actually had 3 legs down, but this was a nice clear leg, so you measure it when we started down again. We'll see if we get a measured leg. And sure enough, almost to the tick, it reverses. We have what I think is an overshoot here. This thing just got really oversold. And then suddenly it finds a bottom, it reverses. You get a break here, it tries to make a few highs. Looks like it's going to go lower, and suddenly just bam, reverses on a dime again. Look at that buying come in there. Boom, it just goes straight up. A few people take profit that were jumping in on it, and then boom, it's straight up again. And we corrected just a little bit into the close and closed higher. Almost made another new high for the day. It's crazy. This market is absolutely insane, but no, I mean, there's lots of reasons. So it's election year. The economy's got all kinds of mixed signals. The interest rates are out of sight, and inflation's still raging. So they need, you know, they need to lower rates. They can't. So there's a lot of crazy things going on that could affect this market. It's just a powder keg waiting to explode, and it could be good or bad. So again, I don't think they're going to let it sell off for election time. So you know, that probably explains rallies like that right there coming in. I mean, that's some heavy buying right there. Somebody came in and bought this market strong, and this took some strong buying, and they were fighting selling all the way up here. And then suddenly the sellers give up, and boom, they just rocket straight up. It's just really crazy market. I mean, from high to low today, that's 100 and, or no, I'm sorry, it's a 66 and a quarter point move in an hour and 20 minutes. And then it turns around and makes a 64 move back up in another 6 hours. This is the real kicker right here, though. $33 points in 21 minutes. I mean, that took some buying to do that. So Maybe the shorts had thrown in the towels here and decided, hey, I'm on the wrong side, and they all start taking profit. Maybe this is all profit taking because then you get this big sell off. And I'm sure there's some new buyers coming in, and so the seller's taking profit and new buyers coming in, and the new buyers taking profit, and then when that's over, it starts rising again. Doesn't surprise me over here in the thinner volume to see them rise it like this, but this was, at 2 o'clock. Still, you still got some trading day left there. But anyway, let's zoom in here, go through the trades. There's a few trades today. A lot of times on these big moves, they're just so fast and furious, you don't get much chance to get into them. If you didn't get them at the start, then you just about don't get into them. So anyway, 7 o'clock comes as we're rallying here, up into here, and then you get the close outside, a move to a new high, then you get a little two-legged correction back to this support line. So that's a second entry long. But also we tested that once and then tried to go higher and come back, and then went higher again and come back again. That's close enough to be a triple test there. Regardless, it's a double bottom on a second entry long, and a lot of times you get two legs to a new high. So I like it. Nice signal bar too. Turns out to be a pretty good move. Then we just kind of are chopping sideways. This is too tight to enter here. And you get a little failed breakout. I like that for a short. It's probably going to come back to the EMA. You're always better off to wait on a lower high, so I did mark it green. But I like that trade. That's a little more advanced. So for most of you, this is going to be a trade you probably should wait on the lower high. Picking tops and bottoms will destroy most traders that are not skilled chart readers. So, and even then, you're taking a little bit of a gamble. So you wait on the lower high, and usually, really, most traders should wait on a confirmed trend. Let me say it again: confirmed trend down. So something like this to start trading. But we do make a much lower low, and then you get a first entry, second entry here. So a second entry short and two lower highs. I like that one. And if you get in there, you could ride this thing. Really, you could ride it all the way down. You might have taken profits in here, but you're probably better off to wait and see if this trend line's. You might wait till this trend line is tested before you try to go short again. And again, the bottom just falls out. You get a quick leg down. And then notice that two-legged correction. That's often the center of a pattern. And so you might get another measured leg down. And that's exactly, almost to the tick. It's uncanny how good these measured moves work. Watch for those two-legged corrections. But that's a two-legged correction back to the EMA, the midline. That's a very strong down move. You're going to get a retest most likely. That signal bar is questionable. That's the only problem with that. But this is one that maybe you still take it. I marked it green. Another trader asked me about it. I kind of told him the same thing. That signal bar doesn't qualify. It's almost too neutral. But it's a strong downtrend. Maybe you risk it. It's clearly a second entry. It's clearly off the midline. It's clearly off of two legs back to the EMA. You should expect a retest of the lows on this. And if the bigger channel's in play, then we're still, we still could go even lower. And again, the bottom falls out. Once it starts trending down like this, look for that measured move. And you see it was getting oversold down here, but they didn't give up until they got that measured move, and then it reversed. And there's clearly a triple, quadruple test here, multiple test on this. And this one, the last couple really gave some rejection. So it makes it worth attempting this one. There's a higher low here, but it doesn't give you a signal bar, so you can't trade it. And of course, I made this one green because you're trying to pick a bottom. Again, same thing I told you on the other side. This is very advanced. It's not for everybody. But if you understand what's going on there and you can read the chart, and you clearly see all those tests, maybe you take that trade. Again, I would recommend most of you wait on the high or low, or really I'd wait on the confirmed trend. And you really get a confirmed trend here, don't get me wrong. right up through here like so. And you can see that, and you get a close outside move to a new high, and then it looks like it's going to correct, and it runs, and of course it runs up again before it finally comes back to the trend line here. So maybe you take that one. I don't think you can go long in here. It's tempting to go long right here, but this has still been a strong downtrend, so I'm just wary of taking anything other than a sure thing here. There's a higher low here, uh, but I just think there's not much room to the top there, and you don't know that you're going all the way to the trend line, so I think you have to skip that. But you do get a break in new high, and there is a first entry, second entry right here. I did not mark this one, but it should be at least green, and I put a lot of thought into that one, whether how I should talk about it. It's clearly at the key entry point, and I do believe it's obvious that we got to close. It's not a strong close outside because all these bars are bullish. Even though a couple of them close outside, this one closes slightly outside. So that's the only problem with this, and this does close outside the key entry point, and we did have this big overshoot down here. So this thing could just reverse, which it does. But this still will probably give you a scalp being that far away from the EMA. So I'm going to mark it green. I went back and forth over this one. There's a lot of reasons to like it, but it's got pros and cons to it. And if it's got any cons at all, it's not 100%. So we'll mark it green. And of course, there's a little sell off right here, and then it runs and makes another new high before we start selling off, and it just comes back and confirms this trend line here. I don't think you can go long here. It looks like you have a close outside, again, not very convincing. So I think you got to still respect this trend channel. The key here is to wait and see if you get a higher low. And of course you do, but you don't get a signal bar and you get congestion, so you can't really enter there. And we're just kind of working our way higher here. It's just nothing super strong, but it's just a little buying comes in and then it sideways, a little buying comes in sideways until it kind of peters out over here and drops off. But you have a triple test here, but that signal bar is no good. Finally, you get another 1, 2, 3 triple test, and this time you do get a good signal bar right at and look how many times we bounced off the EMA. So I like that one. You're just looking for a scalp. If it goes higher, that's great, but you're mostly looking for a scalp. And of course, it does run to a new high and then turns down here. Again, I don't think I would be taking any shorts now, so you just kind of wait. You do see we get a break of the trend line. I would call this a slightly higher low, double bottom, and you can't really call it a double top, or I'm sorry, a second entry, because you got a little double top here, and it's just so that's not a new high, but you do get a double top, so you can call that a new high, but it's still a first entry. And you're too close to the EMA, and you see how it gets that resistance. Sometimes it'll turn back down because we haven't made a new low on this channel coming down, so you just can't. You got to sit tight there. And of course, it does run up. Makes a new high, and then you get 2 legs back and a bullish bar that closes back above the EMA again. And this was the first break of the blue channel, so you'd expect prices to try to make a new high, so I like going long there. It doesn't have a lot of room to the high. It really probably does have enough room, but all that's stems up there. Doesn't mean we can't get there. You see there's still room there, but because those were all stems and it kept closing lower, I just marked this one green. Turns out to be a quick, easy scalp, nothing more. Then we're just sideways until it comes up here and you get a little double top, but you can't really go short there yet. This is just stuff. It's just, let me just draw it here. It's basically a little trading range. By this point, and you can see where we were bouncing off that midline, these highs and these lows, and so it's tempting to go short, but you've only got a double top there, and we're in an uptrend, and we haven't made a new high yet, so I think you got to sit tight. And this one was tempting, and I think it even works, but I still wouldn't take it. Yeah, it would have been a one tick failure, but I still wouldn't take it. That's not rejection. It's a nice reversal bar, but you see we had one here too. Here's another one. They're trying to reverse it, but they just can't, and then it goes lower, and then finally we got a channel working up again. I don't see anything there I would trade until you get a close outside, move to a new high. Big bearish reversal type bar. I like just trying to get a scalp out of that. You should be able to at least get a scalp. It looks like we got a trend line maybe working lower here. I like that one to the short side. And then we're just chopping along again. There's a triple test here, maybe a quadruple, but there's too much stem on those. And you can see we've been turning down at the midline until finally it pushes through and turns down off the top of the range, gives you a bearish bar. You got room to get out. Take that one. This is just a breakout pull back short. No trade there, though. I wouldn't trade that. And then here we go. It turns now. And this thing's just rockets straight up. It doesn't even give you any real strong signal bars over here. So there's just really nothing to trade. There's one little double bottom there, but I don't think I would trade it. And the first real correction is after 2 o'clock. And that's just the first entry with not much room to the top, so I don't think you can take that. And you can see it ran up, and then you had a big sell-off. So you got to be careful with those. And it's a great rally, but it's just nothing but buying in there. There's no way to get into it. There's not even a little, like I said, once you realize it's a strong trend, just any signal bar that comes back to the trend line, take it, but you don't get one. So there it is, kind of an oddball day. Hard to explain days like this. It's there whether you can explain it or not. So I'm sure the news will write up something. Early on this morning, they were worried about the CPI that comes out tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to get some word on CPI or unemployment or something. And they were worried about it early, and you get this big sellout, but that doesn't explain why you get this huge rally. So what changed from this morning to this afternoon? I mean, it's my opinion they write the news to fit the price action. I used to try to read the news and garner all this, but now that I understand how the price action works and how to read this chart, there's no doubt in my mind they just write the news to fit the. If there's a sell-off that starts starts at certain time, there's some kind of news around that certain time, or there's some kind of news coming out, they'll blame it on that. Say that's what drove the market, and that's just the way it works. They don't have a clue what really caused this market to do anything. They just make the news up to fit the price action, and that's the price. The news does not dictate the price action at all. The price action dictates the news. So don't fall for the news. Don't waste your time with it. I've told this story many times. I used to get up and work out early every morning, and I'd have that Bloomberg going or one of the financial channels, and I'm watching it religiously, trying to get some kind of idea what the day might be like or where the market might be going. And it didn't take me long to realize they don't know diddly. If they say something's going to happen, you could just about bank on it being just the opposite. So don't fall for that stuff. They don't have a clue. They just write the news to fit this price movement. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you had a good trading day. Kind of a strange day. don't be surprised when you see these reversals. Don't be surprised when you see these strong sell-offs and these strong reversals or strong buying with a sell-off. We're going to have a lot of volatility, and probably the closer we get to the election, probably more and more of this volatility. So don't let it surprise you. Don't let it catch you off guard. Always trade with following the rules with a trading stop below the signal bar, or I'm sorry, a safety stop below the signal bar. That way, the worst you're going to do is lose whatever it is between your entry point and the bottom of that signal bar. And if you do that, um, you're not going to get burned. You might take a loss, and it might be a couple of points, a couple of 3 points, but that's better than the alternative. So always trade with a safety stop. If you don't do anything else, I tell you, trade with a safety stop, because it can save you. Because we did have a few years back, maybe 15 years ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, we had the flash crash. I'm sure most of you, if you've been around, you remember it or you've heard of it. They blamed it on some fat-fingered whale trader, and he started an avalanche, and that thing dropped so fast that if you didn't have a safety stop in there, you probably didn't get out to the bottom. But even if you had a safety stop, you might have lost. You probably wouldn't have lost any more than normal, because it started selling off a top like this. So if you'd had your safety stop, you probably got out without any slippage. But once it had started falling like this, I mean, it was even straighter down than this, if I remember correctly, and it just kept going and going and going and going and going. It was like, at first I thought something was wrong with the chart. It was like somebody pushed a button and held down on it and didn't realize they were holding down on it, just straight down. And if you didn't have your safety stop in there, you probably lost it all that day. And I'm sure there's some traders that did lose it all, only to sit there and watch it take it back before the day was over. But anyway, that's the markets for you. Always trade with a safety stop. Always put it where it's supposed to be. One or two ticks below the signal bar. Generally, one tick's going to do it. Every now and then, by doing 2 ticks, you'll save yourself a stop run. But anyway, that pretty much does it for today. Not much else we can say about this. So I'm gonna wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.